Hello and good evening. It is the AFL Armchair Advisors. Yes, we're back in the studio for this week's AFL season 2021 round 17 preview show. I am Rich of the Armchair Advisors, of course. Joining me is the man who knows every stat about every single sport, every single player of every single physical activity in history, and that is with no over embellishments whatsoever. It's Sensible Dan. How are you, mate?
I'm feeling salubrious, mate. Feeling great this week.
Salubrious?
Yes.
No, that's a big word.
Feeling great, mate.
It's a fantastic word.
I mean, as you rightly said, I'm into all sports, basically. Mm-hmm. The Euros, England, semi-final against the Danes.
Another nuff.
It's coming home. Man United signed Jadon Sancho this week. Huge. So it's been a great week for me, mate, personally. And it's been even better. And I can't quite put my finger on why. Feels like I'm missing something, but I've gained a lot.
Well, look, let's be real. In the running of this, you and I are strong. You know, I'm the all-rounder. Do you know what I mean? That just the glue that holds everything together. You're clearly the polish and the pizzazz. When we're doing this, we're strong on it. Mm-hmm. There is a weak link in our midst,
I reckon
typically. And if you've had a great week, then this individual, he has had a very poor week. I'm speaking, of course, about our global field correspondent, Desmond Van Bus, who is not here. He's on sick leave. He got bit by a bee. He sent us a photo. That's his quote, bit by a bee, direct quote. We're going to put up a photo here. If you're listening on the podcast, I'm sorry, there's nothing in this for you. But if you're on the YouTube, have a look. That's
actually a good segue. If you're listening to this on the podcast, please get on the video because it is horrifying.
Jump on YouTube and look at that. Look at that lid. That is appalling.
Disgraceful.
Jeepers creepers. So he'll probably be back next week. See how we go. Having said that, this does not mean that you are going to get 33% less tips, less previews, less bants. There's 33% less men in the room. Mm-hmm. That is all you're missing out on. Yep. Aside from that, we've got everything else covered.
Absolutely.
It's a jam-packed show. We have got 9 games worth of previews. We'll tell you who's going to win each one of them. Mm-hmm. We've got Dummy of the Week. There's been a lot that's being said by a lot of nuffs, and we're going to call them out. And then we're going to have a special little interview with a special little someone towards the end of the show. So stay tuned for that, mate. Let's kick it off like a dead leper's head, as Heath Franklin's Chopper Reed once famously said.
I like that a lot.
Let's leap into it. We've got a giant round of footy across 6 days. It is the Port Adelaide Power versus the Melbourne Demons on your Thursday night at Adelaide Oval. Sensible Dan, what's happening here, fella?
Alrighty, so basically the last few weeks have been a bit off Port, all right? But no matter what we think, they're actually playing half reasonable footy.
True.
They've won their last 3 in a row and won 4 of their last 5. So they're in good nick. They just don't look good doing it. But good teams just get the dubs on the board. That's all that matters. It also sounds like Zachy Butters is going to get back in for this week. So that's pretty massive for the Power. D's, on the other hand, they're struggling.
Shaky.
They're looking pretty ordinary. They've lost 2 of their last 3, and they've only been averaging 62 points a game in that 3-game span. That's not going to bring premierships home.
That's ordinary.
It's going to be a tough game. I'm actually really liking the under in this game. These defenses are fairly stingy. So under set at 149.5 at the moment. And they're both, like I said, they're both pretty stingy defenses. So I'm not expecting fireworks, but I'm going to be tipping Port in this game. He's
gone the Port now.
I just purely because of the form, form line.
It's funny, you talk about the form line. Have we gone back to the 2000s or what?
Ooh,
I mean, I feel like we're genuinely back in the early 2000s right now. Consider everyone's form coming into this game. Port are looking great all of a sudden at the top of the ladder. Melbourne had a great run looking shaky, early 2000s again.
Absolutely.
The Crows are an absolute rabble, early 2000s.
Yep.
Richmond, Ninthmond. Ninthmond is back. Again, do you know what I mean? Brisbane's at the top.
Last week we returned to nature.
Yeah.
This week, I mean, it literally feels more like a return to nature than ever.
We have gone back in time for this game. It's unbelievable.
The world's healing.
The world is healing. We're going back to Y2K times. We're back in the 2000s. That's why I am declaring that this game that Port and Melbourne will be playing for the David Roden hemoglobin module. And
love it.
Well, look, I'm thinking, players that did a little bit of cross-pollinating.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
In the 2000s.
Absolutely.
Big D-Rod being one of them.
Mate.
Look, in all seriousness, though, Port, very comprehensive, I thought, against the Hawks, bar that third quarter. And they finished strong. And as I always say, week in, week out, how you finish one week's, how you start the next.
I mean, and not only that, they really were riding against the grain in that one because Hawthorn, no ladder position to play for, obviously, but being Sean Burgoyne's 400th, and Hawks, as I said last week on the pod, they've actually been playing half decent footy since the bye. So Port were not up against it, but it wasn't going to be a runaway victory.
Didn't roll over.
They managed to hold on. So
they did not roll over at all. Melbourne, on their hand, looking a bit shaky. I'm wondering if Viney coming in and sitting on that half-forward flank, if that's just upset their structure a little bit, because now you got Pickett going off of that into the centre, and I don't think he's a midfielder. I don't know what they're trying to do, get midfield minutes into him, toughen him up. He doesn't need to. Just let the man play his natural game. He's good at it. So I'm just wondering if Viney coming back in, and if you're GWS with Caniglio, you should be looking very closely at this, because you can't just insert a bloke straight back in and be like, it's fine. Everyone just do what
and the thing that I took away from that game, Jimmy Harm's time on ground went down considerably, and he's been one of their better performers, I would have thought. So, it might take a little bit of working out for Goodwin to get his good balance.
He's got time up his sleeve. Speaking of good balance, if you're Goodwin, this is the game you put Ben Brown in, I think.
Absolutely.
This is the game. Port's back line, I've been saying it all year, just a little bit undersized when it comes to the big men. They have battled a little bit with containing them. This is the game to put Ben Brown in. I don't think they'll do it, but jeepers, you've got to look at it.
Interestingly, Max Gawn is the most targeted forward in the league over the last 3-week period. Max Gawn is a ruckman. Good ruckman, great ruckman. Potentially the best, some might say.
Yeah.
He's not the league's best full forward.
Correct answer.
You have a very good full forward doing nothing. Put 2 and 2 together, goody.
I mean, it's not that hard. I don't understand it. But having said that, Port Adelaide, I'm going Port Adelaide 1-39. Now, look, I need to tell you a couple of things. Port have won their last 3 against the D's, so that's getting me over the line.
Like it.
Desmond has also sent 3, even though you're sensible, he's not. Even though Desmond Van Bus is not here, Des has sent us a few tips for this round. I'll be very interested to get his thoughts on them. Des, I assume you're going Port. How much are Port winning by, fella?
40 points.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Desmond.
40
points, says Desmond.
That Bumblebee may have sent him a little bit more loopy than we thought possible.
And that is saying something.
Got any other bets for this one?
Oh, jeepers, what am I doing? I was about to move on. Yeah,
no chance. I've got a couple for you quickly while you're looking that up. So Trav Boak, 25 plus.
He missed training today.
I think he'll still front up. I think he'll be fine. Bokey's a warrior, mate. And he has gone 25 plus in every single game this season.
He's also trained.
Boak doesn't need to train, mate. He's the fittest man in the AFL.
All right, no, okay.
And Ed Langdon, 20 plus.
I like that a lot. Look,
he's always good for it.
Buyer beware when it comes to Bokey is what I'm saying, but I like the risk. Look, I've gone a little multi. I'm liking Ollie Wines 30 plus disposals. Christian Petracca, 25. Willem Drew and Stephen May for 15. Now, the Drew one's going to raise eyebrows. He got dropped about 5 weeks back, and since he came back in after that 1 week spell, he's hit 15 minimum each week. So
it'll raise eyebrows for the casual, mate, but not for me.
Not for you. So I said Willem Drew, Stephen May for 15 touches, and Connor Rozee, anytime goal. That's paying about $6 all up.
Delicious. Love that a lot.
Let us move on to Friday night at Marvel Stadium. It is the all-conquering Essendon Bombers who sit at the towering heights of 12th place on the ladder.
The AFL sleeping giant. Watch out, boys.
Yeah, jeez. Versus the Adelaide Crows, of course. What was your favourite part of the early 2000s? What sticks out in your mind?
I mean, there was a lot of good stuff, mate. I mean, I was quite young at the time. I really enjoyed sitting down and watching Pokemon first thing in the morning on Cheese TV, followed by Dragon Ball Z Elite. But my favourite thing of the early 2000s probably would have had to have been...
having a sense of optimism?
Yeah.
Hope,
I mean,
not being depressed.
No, there was a little bit of that about it. Yeah, exactly right. Nah, look, those earlier Simpsons episodes. Coming home, 6 p.m. on Channel 10, and just knowing that you were going to get a treat. Beautiful.
Mate, those GOAT status. I'm about that. And of course, it is early 2000s theme for this show, which means that Essendon and Adelaide will be playing for the Hayden Skipworth ship berth at Port Hedland, where you can dock your vessel.
Old Skippers.
Old Skippy the bush kangaroo. Look, 12th place, 15th, but it's not going to look it. I think the Crows have been quite plucky and bold the last couple of weeks, but their lack of talent is really, really showing across the park. And that's not a crack against the blokes that they've got out there playing. They're doing the best they can with what they've got.
It is what it is.
And more power to them. Dons, on the other hand, we take the PI 55 out of them being... I'm just tidying up my swearing this week.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Let a few F-bombs go last week.
That's all right, mate. No drama.
Reel
it in.
Reining it back in. Dons, like Zach Merritt and Parrish and Stringer, all of a sudden, it's like in Captain Planet. 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
It's like in Captain Planet when the kids put the rings together and they've summoned a big mulleted man, which in their instance was Captain Planet. In this instance is Sam Draper.
Sam Draper, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They're playing astonishingly good football through the middle. Heppel's looking at his genuine best at the minute across half-back.
Correct.
Nick Hind, we've sung his praises.
Yep.
Nick Cox had a quiet game, but he doesn't need to have a busy one. There's enough else going on.
Correct.
Harrison Jones, I'm loving up forward.
Oh, I'm aware.
Have you heard the story about how he got to Essendon?
I have not.
He called up Adrian Dodoro during draft week.
Love that.
And said, listen, Dodders, mad fan, love the Bomber, don the sash, that's me. That's me since the get-go. That's me since the cradle. Get me to the Bombers now. Please get me to the Bombers now.
Lo and behold.
And Dodoro said, leave it with me. Hung up on him. Lo and behold, picked him up draft night.
I actually rate that.
I'm genuinely serious. That's how it happened.
I rate that highly. Good on you, Harry. Look, if no one's going to give you a chance, make it work.
He did. He took the ball by the horns, and look at him now.
Do not mind it at all.
Crows did not have an answer for Brisbane's midfield last week. All right, now, no Neil. Keys decided to tag Zorko out of nowhere and still racked up his own ball, which is great for Keys.
Yep.
Wasn't great for Zorko or fantasy owners.
No.
Klug was quiet. Jared Lyons did Jared Lyons things. That's 1 out of 4.
Yep.
Well, 1.5 if you give a half point to Klug. 1.5 out of 4. And they didn't have an answer for it. They got beat by a good 50 points.
Yep.
What in God's name do you think Parrish on fire, Merritt on fire, and Stringer on fire currently are going to do to them?
It's not a good setup for the Crows midfield. It is a real bad setup.
Hugely
but
bad.
Obviously the Dons are not quite as talented as the Lions are. And I think you'd be stupid to suggest such things. But they are, in my opinion anyway, they are the best team outside the top 8 at the moment. And if they... if things start tracking well towards this back end of the season, they could make a late little push. But I think either way, they're going to get the win here because they are just the better side. Like you said, you've pretty much just stolen all my praises for the Crows.
That's what I do.
They do what they do, and that's about as good as it gets. The Bombers genuinely play good football when they want to. When they don't, like they switched off against the Cats, it turns into a shambles. I'm going to be tipping the Dons 1-39. Perfunctory, as you would say.
I do like that word. I'm also tipping the Dons 1-39. Dons, interestingly, have won their last 3 against the Crows.
Yep.
So that's just really tipping it over the line for me. Desmond, you'll be tipping the Bombers, I assume?
No.
No,
Ooh.
He's going the Crom.
Well.
He's going the Crom. That's an outrage. Anyways, I've got some bets on board for you. I'm looking at Darcy and... I don't need to say his last name. You should know who it is. And it's, and it's not Fogarty.
Yeah, no, it's not.
No, it's not. Darcy Parrish. I'll say it anyway. Zach Merritt and Rory Laird, 30 plus apiece.
Yep.
Heppel, Langford, Hind and Stringer, 20 plus apiece. It's a big disposal multi. But that's paying about $8.
Good.
North of.
I actually had Parrish 35 because I like the value at 2. And when he wants to, he will. He's had 40 plus 3 times this year.
3 times
I
this year.
think. So if he wants to, and he will want to, because who's going to stop him?
No.
So $2 is good value for that. And I also had Will Snelling for an anytime goal.
Big smelly Snelly.
Yeah, he's been a little bit like this.
How did I miss Harrison Jones? Get on Harrison Jones as well. I forgot him. Get on Harry Jones.
Perfect.
I like Snelling. I'm smelling Snelling.
Snelling.
Let us move on. It's Saturday Arvo at the University of Tasmania Stadium down in Hobart. It is the Hawthorn Hawks playing the Fremantle Dockers. What do you reckon, mate? Who's getting this one?
Tough one to predict. Nah, it's not really. The Cats are going to get up here. Look,
The Cats?
yeah.
Is it the Cats?
Hold on, what are we talking about?
It's the Hawks versus the Dockers?
Look, the AFL fixturing. Wrong. Look.
Blame the fixturing.
It is a tough one to predict in that
the
case.
Fixturing.
It is a tough one to predict in that case. And you've ruined my pick of the week for the next game, obviously.
No, I didn't know that.
Unbelievable. Nah, look, this is a tough one. So, Hawks have been playing better footy. They are better in Tasmania than you would think being in Victoria at the moment.
Yep.
The Dockers' record in Tasmania is disgusting.
Go on.
Absolutely disgusting.
What's that?
1-12 all time.
1 and 12.
1-12 all time. And their one win came in the in Siren Gate, if you remember correctly.
Oh!
Back in the early 2000s.
Theme.
That was against
Exactly.
St Kilda. So for those who don't remember, the siren went. No one in the stadium heard it. Game continued on for 10 seconds. St Kilda managed to get a point to draw the game at 94 all.
Unbelievable.
It took a protest to AFL House to get the match overturned in favour of the Dockers. So their one win, we'll just call it as it is.
And it was a court win.
By default.
Not even a field win, it was a court win.
It was default. So their record down there is horrid. So it hurts me. I'm going to be tipping Hawthorn in this game, 1-39. The big news of the day, though, Sam Mitchell.
Yep.
Coach.
Yep.
Head coach.
Always going to happen.
2023.
Fate accompli.
If you're listening to any of the talking heads in AFL media today,
Well, we don't, but...
the most shocking thing of all time.
Who could have foreseen?
Couldn't have been any more an outrageous call in AFL history than Sam Mitchell getting a gig over a 4-time premiership coach. Who cares? It's the time. It is time. Clarko wouldn't have made this decision lightly. And if he believes that Sam Mitchell is good enough to take the reins, then who am I to judge?
How long's Sam Mitchell been at the Hawks now as an assistant coach in that position?
Cutler. Well,
Good 2 or 3?
He was at West Coast for 1.
Something like that.
I reckon, and he's been at Hawks since. So
Pretty damned obvious. Pretty damned obvious.
And he always had a good footy brain, always. He was never the most athletically gifted, and usually those players are the ones who have to work a hell of a lot harder off the field than on it.
Look, Stevie Wonder could see that he was going to come back and be the next coach of the Hawks. It's not that hard. Let's talk Freo for a minute. Just interestingly, 2000s theme. 2000s theme, which is why the Hawks and Fremantle this week will be playing for the Trent Crode ornamental garden toad.
I love that.
Yeah. It sits in your front garden.
Absolutely.
And it brings you luck. It's got good feng shui.
So the Dockers have got none.
I would have thought. They were just disappointing as shit against the Blues. They had more scoring shots than the Blues, and they still managed to lose it.
Doubled them in clearances too.
That was really, really disappointing. And as you said, I'd seen that stat on UTAS. It doesn't look good for them. The Hawks do like it down there. They played that ground very, very well. I've got to go the Hawks. I've gone the Hawks.
It actually is a painful decision because just looking at the ladder position, tipping a team that is 17th in the comp is hard.
It's bloody hard.
It's hard.
Especially because, Darcy's not bad at the minute at all. Lobb is not bad at the minute at all. Brayshaw has been good.
Brayshaw, to me, I've got it written here, to me, he's a star of the comp. He's developed this year, got under the radar because of who he plays for, but he's actually turned into a star of the comp. Darcy, you could make arguments right now, third best ruckman in the comp behind Vaughan and Grundy.
Top 5 for sure.
But the difference between their top of their list and their bottom is unmatched in the AFL, I believe. Like, their worst players in the 22 compared to their best is outlandish. They've got a lot of cap space. They've got a bunch of WA boys who are coming out of contract. You'd be going very hard at Shea Bolton.
Jordan Clark.
Very hard at Jordan Clark.
Yep. Try
Try and get Cogs over if you can. There's players there to be had.
There's scope.
I don't think they're far away from being like a finals contender, maybe not a premiership, but you've got to do something about this, about the bottom end of the list. Have to.
Unfortunately so. But in terms of this particular game, as I said, Fremantle Dockers 1-39. Fife needs to get his skates on quick. I know he's coming back from an injury. He had a quiet game last week, but they just can't afford to not have him at his very best. Whereas Warple and Segler have been a lot better. Mitchell keeps doing Mitchell things.
Correct.
Jaeger O'Meara, hugely disappointing for me, but I just think the Hawks have got just enough to sneak him over the line. If this was being played in the West, I'd tip Freo.
Absolutely.
I'm tipping.
It's Tasmania.
It is Tasmania. Des, are you tipping Hawthorn?
Yes.
How much will they win by?
40 points.
40 points
40
again.
points.
40 points
Oh, my
again.
days.
The man is off on one. All right, let's talk bets. I'm going Liam Henry, anytime goal scorer. He's had a little sniff lately, and I think he's just in a vein. Kazichki, anytime goal scorer.
Yep.
My man Blakers for 15
Love
touches.
that.
Yep.
No Jace this week?
No Jace this week. I'm all about Blakers. Fife and Brayshaw 25 plus each, and Tommy Mitchell 30. It's pretty straightforward.
I had Brayshaw 25 plus here. $1.45. That's great value.
That's rude, that.
Great.
That
Also
is rude.
had Jimmy Warpedo as well.
The Cardinal.
Yeah, he's back. 20 plus in his last 2 in a row. He's been fluctuating, but I think Freo's a team he can stat up against. That's paying $1.53, so I like that.
Peace and blessings upon you from Cardinal Warpel. All right. I think it could be time. Is it time?
I think it's time.
I reckon it's time.
It time.
Time for Dummy of the Week.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Dummy of the Week.
Alrighty, fella, it's Dummy of the Week, and he's not here this week.
No,
he's not here this week.
Not.
That's low hanging fruit, but that's why we do this segment. First things first, I'm going to kick one off. Wayne Carey in the week said that Dustin Martin should be getting paid $4 to $5 million a year to play football for the Tigers. That was what the Duck reckons about that one. Just to put that into perspective for folks who think, oh yeah, now go on then. A football department's budget to spend on players is $13 million. Mm-hmm. Okay?
There's nothing I would like more than a club paying 33% of its wage bill on one player.
Who had 23 touches last week and a goal.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Worth every penny. Every penny.
If it was 2017, I would lend an ear to your argument. I'd still probably be against it, but I would at least lend an ear. I'm not hearing a peep out of it
If
now.
Dusty's worth $4 to $5 million, then that must mean Chonk Miller is worth about 7 to 8.
I would have thought.
Because he towed him up.
Well, surely McRae in that instance is worth 12 to 13 billion. Mm-hmm. I mean, if we're just going by stats, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah, why not?
You can't... 4 to 5 million. Again, this is not 2017. The man's just turned 30. He's now technically a veteran. Mm-hmm. You can't justify that. Come on.
Hell no.
So Bolton, get rid of him.
Yep. See you later.
We're just gonna get in 18 Hugo Ralph Smiths to play around our $4 million man.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that's the proper way to build a club. I've always said it.
Unbelievable. So just going through the SEN app here, just having a read of the news. I'll be quick. Ashley Brown here has written a big, long, thumping great article saying why Mitchell will be better prepared for senior coaching than his fellow Brownlow medalists. Well, I'll give you the hot tip. Because he's been an assistant coach longer. He's not been rushed into the job after 2 years of being a midfield coach and then, go on then, you can lead a team. Mm-hmm. Oh, what do you mean? You didn't make finals 3 years in a row. You shit, get out. Mm-hmm. Also, he's been training under Clarko that entire time, so I think that's going to have something to do with it.
That is the tipping point.
Unbelievable.
The tipping point for me.
Unbelievable. Let's have a look what else is going on here. Have you heard anything during the week?
To be honest, mate, I actually haven't. It's been a rather quiet week on my end, which is always good. I was a little bit up in arms about how many talking heads suddenly became experts on coaching today with the appointment of Sam Mitchell. Jason Dunstall wasn't a big fan of it. Mark Robinson just cannot wrap his head around the fact that you would give up a 4-time premiership coach for a coach with no experience. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, these guys, they are the experts on everything. They are just elite.
Who's to say it wasn't Clarko's decision?
So, well, that's exactly right. If Clarko says something, you better damn well believe that what he's saying is the truth.
I don't believe
the gospel.
I don't believe anyone is telling Clarko, tapping him on the shoulder and saying, get out, pack your bags.
Hell no.
He moves when he wants to.
Do you think Jeff Kennett would do that?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, that's a nuts one. Another good one here, though. Essendon great Matthew Lloyd thinks Collingwood has gone backwards since caretaker coach Robert Harvey replaced Nathan Buckley.
Yeah, thanks for that, Buck. Thanks for that, bud.
So in 2 games with no different players to pick from, no different game plan to instill, the one they've been training for the entire season thus far, and Harvey having assistant coached under Bucks for the last, 5 or 6 years? Something like that. What were you expecting? What, for them to turn around? I tell you what.
Late finals charge.
I'll tell you what. Right, I'm Big Bobby Harvey. The new broom sweeps clean. What I'm thinking is, Jamie Elliott, you're going to be a ruckman there, Duck. Brody Grundy, you ever played back pocket there, Duck? You're about to. Off you go. What else? Jordan DeGoey. Full back it is. Let's do it. Boys, I want you to run directly through the middle, but also play to the wings and pockets, but they go through the corridor. Handball only when you can't kick, but always handball, but also kick. What do they want? What does Lloydie want? Have they gone backwards under Harvey? Cheapers.
They haven't gone anywhere. They're exactly where they were 2 weeks ago.
Correct answer.
And now that I think about it, I actually do have one. Just off the top of my head.
Hit me.
Just off the top of my head.
Yeah, give it to me.
I don't... Oh, no, it's within the last week, so it'll play.
Oh, no, go on. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I'm saying it'll play. So last week there was a bit of uproar about the fixturing. Fremantle didn't want to play at the MCG because it's the home ground of Carlton, right? So they put in an official request to the AFL to have the game played in Tasmania, I believe it was Tasmania.
Yes, it was.
And had it rejected. David King was there. Why would they not want to play at the home of the MCG? The teams just not want to travel? So what, like Carlton driving 5 minutes to their home ground?
Yeah. What? Freo, well, they don't want to travel, Freo, really. They don't want to travel. Come on, Dockers.
Piss ant Victorians cannot get it through their heads just how grueling it must be, for especially teams over in the West, so your West Coast and your Fremantles, how travelling every second week of the season can be a bit grinding.
Yeah, but come on, let's be real. Look who said it, David King, right? Well, David King doesn't realise that there is a world outside of Lygon Street or Elizabeth Street. Do you know what I mean? Like the universe, the known universe stops there.
It does.
I'm surprised he knew where Fremantle was, let alone anything else.
Yep.
Why doesn't everyone just want to be in Victoria? Like, I can only assume that when all 18 clubs went back over there because of the Rona, he was there like, yes.
Oh, they would have been, mate.
Back how it should be.
They would have been frothing. Frothing. I just couldn't believe it. How come teams can't just cop it on the chin and just travel to the MCG every week?
King talking more junk. I mean, if he'd have said they should want to travel to the MCG and play there so they get more experience playing on the G, because if you want to win finals and flags, you have to play on the G, I could have come at that. But then to turn it around and say, no, you're not travelling enough, Doug. Belt up, brother. Belt up. All right, speaking of the Blues, let us move on. It's Saturday afternoon at the MCG, and the Carlton Blues will be playing the Geelong Cats in the David Clark Jr. piano tuner extraordinaire.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, indeed. Look, first things first, we're talking dummy. It's a bit of a bleed over here. I just need everyone to just stop sucking Carlton as hard as they can just for 10 seconds. Just stop. Just stop, okay? They beat two teams. They've had 2 wins in a row against an Adelaide unit that they should have beaten by twice as much as they did.
Comfortably.
And against Freo, who really kicked themselves out of that contest. They are not back. I still maintain they're not playing finals. I will live and die on that hill.
I'm not going to say they're not even not back. They were never here. Never here.
But look, wins are wins. You can only play who you're up against. I understand that. They did come away with the 4 points each time. You have to give it to them for that. They're now playing Geelong, who are an actual football team, comprised of players who can kick goals and get disposals. And for that very reason alone, I'm tipping the Geelong Cats 1-39 here. Like, this is a proper opponent. Carlton should crumble. I don't see how they get up unless Geelong go round 1 mode again and, what football for that?
Yep. I mean, I already ruined my prediction for this game. In a surprise twist, I was going to pick the Cats as well. Like I said, Blues played just poor sides. And yes, coming off back-to-back wins, that is good for the culture. You could actually see legitimately how much it meant to them to get a second win on the board in a row. Sam Walsh and Cripps, they were all
crying.
They were frothing. They were loving it.
Yep.
But Cripps is injured. Cripps is injured now. Foot injury, don't know the extent of it. He hasn't been playing his best footy, but you remove him out of that side.
Problems.
And what becomes toothless becomes a corpse.
I'll tell you who's not injured. I'll tell you who is back. Danger.
Or was he ever?
Big Danger.
That was probably his best game in 2 or 3 years, I reckon.
I was thinking that at the time.
Absolutely dominant.
God, how frustrated, how angry would you be to think, where's this Danger been? And he comes back against us. Who did the Cats have last week, was it?
At Dons.
That's right. You'd be thinking as a Dons fan, of all the games, and he pulls this one out the bag against us.
And it was like phenomenal. He was absolutely dominant from start to finish. No one could run with him. Not that the Dons obviously try and run with players, but even if they tried, it would have been completely fruitless. He was just phenomenal. And him being back, if he maintains somewhere in that vicinity of form, that might just help to offset the loss of Jeremy Cameron.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Cameron. I feel like him out now means there's going to be extra attention on Hawkins and Carlton's backline. Like, we don't mind slagging off Carlton here, it must be said. But credit where it's due. Liam Jones, been great. The wheat bag Wiedering, he had a quiet spot about a month ago. He's back all of a sudden, having a great couple of 2
They were
3
questioning, because his name came up on the AFL Rich 100 list. If you haven't seen that, it's on the advertiser at the moment, so go and have a laugh at it.
Or the Herald Sun or whatever you read.
Well, whatever.
New York Times, something.
And he's currently being paid about $700,000 a year, Jacob Wiedering.
That's interesting.
Will he be worth $1 million on his next contract?
No, I'd pay Tom Stewart $1 million before I paid Jacob Wiedering $1 million.
Interesting. Interesting. It's
depends
an argument.
Depends what you want though. Like, big key backs don't grow on trees.
Well, look at the position the Crows are in. They don't have a proper key back at the moment. A couple of young bloods just coming through. they're in all sorts defensively most weeks. So some weeks are good, some weeks are terrible. Carlton, generally, you can rely on Wiedering and Liam Jones to get the job done.
To nullify, but they're not doing that this week. Again, if Danger was still sucking, I would say then this makes things a bit more straightforward, two-dimensional. But if he's genuinely back, if this is the real Danger, then that adds another dimension to the Geelong outfit that we haven't seen since end of 2019, when he was just going forward and smashing goals, and he was going in the middle and smashing disposals and couldn't be stopped. I think Geelong is now just a bit too unpredictable for Carlton. I think Carlton are a bit same. Their midfield's muted. Cripps out. It's Geelong all the way.
And also Mark O'Connor potentially back in this week. He's available for selection, so you can kiss your Sam Walsh multis goodbye. If you're thinking of putting him disposal-wise in anything, do not.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Speaking of bets, I'm looking at Tommy Stewart, 20 plus disposals. He's $1.22 again. $1.22. That's unbelievable. Isaac Smith, 20 plus.
Yep.
Dangerfield, 25. I'm looking at Newman for 20 and the wheat bag, Jacob Wiedering for 15 touches. That's what I'm liking.
Yeah, I did have Newman down here. I've also got Sam Menegola for 20 plus, $1.45, and Homeless Guthrie for 25 plus at $1.33.
He had a real quiet game.
He had a stinky game, but that's a one-off. I believe in him. He's done it for 2 years now. He's a very good player. He'll bounce back against a listless Carlton midfield.
I would have thought. Speaking of Des, you're not tipping Carlton, are you, Des? You don't like Carlton, do you?
They are shit.
Jeepers. Bit of language there for the nippers, Des. You need to settle that one down right away.
But is he wrong?
Let's move on to the next game, Saturday night game. It is the Brisbane Lions and the St Kilda Saints. Now, this one is yet to be landed on in terms of an actual venue, but I can tell you now that Brisbane and St Kilda will be playing for a Jason Graham of cocaine. So best of luck to those boys.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Interesting.
Bagsies,
yeah, love that. I love that.
What do you reckon here, mate?
Lions.
Yep.
The Saints are on a bit of a run. There's no doubt about it. They're playing much better footy than they have done for a majority of this season. They're finally stringing a couple of little performances together. But I think the Lions at the moment, they are my premiership tip, and I'm going to continue in that vein until I see otherwise. When they're at their best, their attack is borderline unplayable. Their defence is borderline impenetrable. And their midfield without Neil is still elite.
Getting the job done. And well.
So, you know, they don't have a weak spot. I've been saying it all year. St Kilda absolutely do have weak spots, and I think the Lions are going to expose it. I would love to see a real nice close contest here, just to make that top 8 little roulette a little bit more interesting. You know, keep the Saints in touch with the group, but I just think the Lions are going to be too good here.
I'm on board with you that. I'm saying Brisbane 1-39. Now, interestingly, let's look at both teams coming into this last week. Crows worked their hardest to turn that Brisbane game into a scrap. They still lost by, 51 points?
53.
53? Oh, and who was it last week that said Brisbane would win by 50 plus? I think that might have been me.
It might have been.
Think that might have been me.
It might have been you.
Crows turned it into a scrap. Brisbane still blitzed them off the park. And as I said earlier, this is with no Neil, a tagged Zorko, a quiet Clug, and they still belted him. Zach Bailey had about 23 touches on his lonesome.
Yep. Also another star of the competition.
What a sleeper.
Elite.
The man is a sleeper. Unbelievable. St Kilda got 49 points up against Collingwood. 49 points up. Collingwood dug themselves back in to get within 8. And they could have, and there was still enough time on the clock. They could have kicked 2.
There was the old Lee Matthews rule, mate. There was 2 minutes on the clock and they only needed a goal and 2 points. So I was sitting there watching that game. I texted you and the bus, and obviously Bus had no reception, so he didn't respond.
Correct.
But, you responded, and I was convinced Collingwood were going to win that game. The Saints just absolutely switched off. It was the most incredible quarter of football I have ever seen.
It was good, wasn't it?
If Collingwood played like that every week, genuine premiership contenders.
Oh, I would have thought.
It was unbelievable.
As long as they play St Kilda every week.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not always the case. And that's why the Lions absolutely will win this game comfortably as well. I'm thinking 40 plus.
I would have thought so.
If it's at the Gabba as well, Gabatoir, 40 plus.
I would have thought. Well, I don't know if I'd be surprised if it was at the Gabba. I wouldn't be surprised if they just tried to squeeze this one at Marvel, because look, there's a few games being played at the G. They could probably squeeze in another one at Marvel. That does suit St Kilda if it does go there.
And if not, get it down to the Holden Centre, mate.
I wouldn't mind that. Yeah, go on then.
Or down at Moorabbin.
Yeah, look, I think it's pretty straightforward, as you said. Although, having said that, I think the one weakness, if you could call it a weakness, that Brisbane might have is their ruck situation. I've never been a big fan of McInerney. He's just a jobber.
Yep.
He is just a jobber.
He is.
Whereas the Saints, Ryder and what's his face, Marshall, still working in such a good 1-2 punch combo.
Oh, absolutely.
Like really good. Ryder playing a really good month of footy at the minute.
Absolutely. Elite. Came off last week, no preparation either. Out in the
Sorry, I say him up. Look, he's had his knocks this year when he has been playing for him. Hasn't missed
But I
a
mean,
beat.
last week he was out in the scrub for most of the week. Couldn't get back to training. Managed to get in for the game and rocked up. Played well. Like I said, I just think McInerney, it's a small portion of a great unit.
Starts in the middle.
It does, but it's not as big a deal as the ex-ruckman like to think it is, mate.
Starts in the middle.
It's just not as big a deal as you
I can't hear, mate. All I can hear is bets. I'm looking at Steele, Lyons, and Crouch for 25 disposals apiece. I'm looking at Daniel Rich for 20.
Sure.
I want Marcus Adams for 15.
Okay.
He had a great
Random.
one. You know, it is a random one. He had a great one against the Crows, against Tex.
Yep.
He's a confidence player and a massive one at that. And I reckon he's building a nice head of steam. Whatever he's paying for 15, I think that'll be worth it. Zach Bailey and Stink Beans McCarthy, 1 goal apiece there. Although probably Lincoln, after kicking 4, is probably going to be paying about $1.02 for an anytime goal.
Yeah, but look, you love that. And he never will be paying that because it's just too inconsistent.
It's the stink bean.
It's the stinkers. But look, I don't have any markets. Because you know that I'm too sensible for that.
You are too sensible.
If there's no markets up, I don't give the punters the advice because I don't like to sound stupid.
No, this is very understandable, which is probably why you're not going to be betting on this next game either. We're heading down to Mars Stadium at Ballarat. It is the GWS Giants playing the Gold Coast Suns. Very interesting. Now, neither of these teams were around in the early 2000s. No, which is why they should be playing for a Pokemon Gen 2 expansion pack.
Yeah?
Yeah? Yeah?
Unopened.
Of course it's unopened. Of course it's unopened.
I'd be hoping there's a shiny Charizard in there.
A holographic anything.
A couple of shinies would be good.
A holographic Machamp. What was your first holographic? You know Pokemon cards. Of course you did.
Absolutely. I reckon my first holographic was a Machoke.
Machoke?
Yeah.
Do you mean a Machamp?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, Machamp.
The first deck I ever had,
Yeah,
the Machamp card.
Yeah.
Usna!
Yeah, big Usna.
Usna!
Yeah.
Giving it the big ones.
Big Hoodles. Yeah, it was a shiny Machamp. And I famously...
Yep.
No, it wasn't really famously, but
No, go on.
I went to some sort of event or whatever and got myself a shiny Zapdos as well, which was pretty lit.
Jeepers creepers. Did you go to see the Pokemon movie in cinemas?
I absolutely did.
Did you get a card?
Yeah. I can't... Was it a Mew card?
Yeah, they were giving away Mews, and I think there was also like the there was a Mew, and you could get either a Mew or one of the 3 legendary birds. I think it was.
Okay. Maybe that's where I got a Zapdos.
Probably would have been.
But yeah, look, elite times back in the day.
Oh, mate, there's a blast of nostalgia.
There was nothing better than sitting with your mates before school, battling.
Having a switch.
Battling.
I will trade you this exceptionally rare, wonderful psychic energy card for your crummy, disgraceful holographic Charizard.
Yeah.
I hate to part with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everyone knows Rattatas can beat anything.
Well, duh. Speaking of anyone beating anything, everyone knows that the Gold Coast Suns can beat anyone, anywhere, all of the time, which they proved last week against the reigning premiers.
Yep.
Is that the best win they've ever had?
Oh, comfortably. I would actually say, I've got it written down here, I actually think the Suns beating Richmond at Marvel might be the most shocking result in
world history.
Just about AFL history.
I'd have thought.
I'm not going to do it because we're keeping this one PG. Unbelievable scenes. And to be honest, I'm actually at a bit of a loss for words to explain this game. I don't know what the hell to say.
What, this, you mean like to preview this game?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
The Giants.
Oh, mate. Yeah, I know.
Beating Melbourne.
Yeah.
After playing some of the worst football known to man the week prior, come out and beat a premiership contender.
Well, that's...
and I'm gonna take credit for that because I reckon I reckon personally it was the bit of a slapdown, the verbal slapdown I gave him on the pod last week, and I think that just G'd him up a little bit, way more than Stephen Cornelio could ever do.
Very interesting. Look, I'm genuinely looking forward to this game. Like, I cannot believe a month ago I'd have said, no, please, like, strike this from the calendar.
Yep.
To these two, I'd prefer to just sit and look at a switched off television screen.
Yep.
Unbelievable. But I'm genuinely looking forward to this. I still think... the Suns are still shizen.
Mm-hmm.
They just got Richmond at the best time they could ever possibly have got Richmond.
Absolutely.
That's what
Absolutely.
I maintain. Take nothing away from them. They worked their guts out to get that win.
They did. And look, I don't care what anyone says. Chonk Miller has to be in the AA squad.
If he's not, I'll rage.
He has to be in the AA squad.
I'll rage.
He legitimately could poll the most Brownlow votes this year.
Get on him for that. Okay, jump on your futures.
He's suspended, obviously. You know that.
Oh, he
got
was
suspended.
too, yeah.
But he legitimately could poll the most votes.
No, you can still poll. You can still jump on your futures and see whoever polls the most votes for a team.
I do apologise. I thought you were going to say win. But he has been incredible this year. Like, unstoppable. You mentioned it to me the other day because you were looking at your fantasy trades. He's untaggable as well. I don't think anyone can run with him. He has gone nuclear this year.
You hear that, De Boer? Don't even bother.
Legitimately, De Boer would not be able to keep up with Chonk Miller.
I hope not. But having said that, you talk about the GWS mids. They are firing on all 6 cylinders at the minute, all 8 cylinders at the minute, and it's looking good. I don't know where Canelio fits into that team. Tom Green is 19 and racking up 20s and 25s each week. That is humongous for the GWS.
If you're being dead serious, Canelio should actually be looking at houses in WA.
I'd have thought, why not?
Move him on, get what you can back for him, and commit to Tom Green.
You can get a high second. You'd take that.
Probably.
The bloke hasn't played all year. You'd take that. Look, if the Suns, all of them work, if they all put in like they did, and Lukosius had his best ever game, Bose was back, this was a great all-round performance, they could genuinely go toe-to-toe, but there's just not enough blokes going with Tuke Miller week in, week out, quarter in, quarter out. And I just think the Giants have still got too much quality across every line. Their forward line is too tricky for the Suns', frankly, one-note defence to be able to handle. GWS's backline is still uber experienced. As long as Phil Davis is back there and Haynes, that's a war. I don't care who you are.
Absolutely. And big rip to Jack Buckley. Didn't like seeing that last week.
Never liked seeing that.
No good. He looked like he was fitting into that defence nicely, having a nice year, and crawled by injury. So
it's often the way, but look, that's why I'm going. I don't have a shoe this week, but GWS are my shoe-in of this week. I can tell you that much.
$1.16?
Something like that. But 1 to 39. That is an absolute disgrace.
Terrible.
Sounds like you're allergic to good advice and sound reasoning when it's given to you.
I'm allergic to terrible bets.
Well, I don't know why you're sneezing then, because all I've got for this game is Tuke Miller 30 plus, Kelly and Taranto 25 apiece, Brandon Alice for our Victorian listeners for 20 plus disposals.
Albo.
Josh Brandon Albanese.
Yep.
And Kelly, anytime goal.
Yep.
He's going to get forward. He loves it. He loves a sniff.
I'm
Don't know what that's paying. There's no markets available at the time of this recording.
Yep.
Have a look at those, though. They won't let you down.
Which is exactly what I was going to say. I'll be writing that with you because I have got nothing else to say. So
unbelievable. I tell you who does have something to say. It is our global field correspondent, Desmond Van Bus. Now, he's not here in the studio. He got bit by a bee, RIP, but he's very graciously agreed to do an interview with us from home. So we've prepared some questions to ask him. We're going to have a yarn to the big fella. Do you have the first one there, mate?
Yeah, I can kick us off if you like.
Oh no, please.
Des, this is a pretty loaded question to kick us off here. Do you think Taylor Harris is worth 150 grand?
No.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, Des, we understand, mate, that you've recently had your penile reductive surgery. That's fantastic. Are you now glad, Desmond, to finally be part of the 1.5-inch club?
Yes.
Interesting.
Oh, dearie me. This one's not quite as bad as the last question, Des. You might know a man named Chad Corns. Do you think you can take him in a fight?
No.
No, doesn't like it.
No.
Well, what about Shane Mumford? Could you take him in a fight, mate?
Yes.
Oh, big. That is big. I'm
going to get on the Instagram at Shane Mumford. See what he thinks about that one.
Imagine.
Des, now you're a big basketball fan, famously in love with the New Orleans Pelicans for some reason. You've also seen the new Space Jam trailers, I hear. What were your thoughts?
They are shit.
Well, look,
I'd have to agree with him there.
I can't disagree on that one.
Eloquent.
Des, now, do you reckon that Jack Riewoldt should just give up and shave that scraggly toilet brush worth of hair off of his head?
Yes.
Jack Riewoldt is not going to like hearing that.
Well, I don't care. Des says...
Speaking of Jack Riewoldt, what was your reaction to Richmond's performance last weekend?
They are shit.
Couldn't agree more. Once again, he's on fire.
He's on fire. Now, Desmond, I can't believe it, but I heard recently that apparently you recently described Gary Rowan as looking like the love child between Gollum and Pauline Hanson. Is that true?
Yes.
Jeepers.
That is outrageous, Des.
Jeepers, Des. You're going the right way for a lawsuit, mate, I tell you.
We've got a few more here for you, Desi. Steve Hocking. He's moved to Geelong.
Yes.
Do you wish him all the best on his new venture?
No.
I think most AFL fans would agree with him.
I would have thought. Well, speaking of Des, do you reckon that Steve Hocking is going to wreck Geelong just as badly as he's wrecked every single rule in the AFL?
Yes.
Yeah, look, absolutely. To top it off, good riddance to bad rubbish, I think. Des, one of my last questions. Last week, you left a half-eaten gyros here. Do you mind if I eat it?
No.
No, he's a good bloke. Bloke.
I mean, you're not here, so I would eat it anyway. Doesn't matter what you say.
Oh, my Lord. Des, would you suck a crack addict's toes in exchange for $1 million?
No.
Disappointing.
Don't want the million.
But further to that, my last question, Des. Would you suck a crack addict's toes to get a mullet like Sam Draper?
Yes.
I thought that might be the answer. Good man.
Oh, look, no, we need to wrap this up. Des, genuinely though, mate, have any of these questions actually been funny whatsoever?
They are shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty fair and reasonable.
Absolutely.
And
But I mean, to be fair, he did give us those questions. So really, it's your own handiwork.
And also, you get what you pay for, and we are actually receiving nothing. We give him nothing and we receive nothing. So it's only fair and reasonable.
Idiocy.
That's what we get back in return. Now then, we've got 3 games left for the round. Let's tear into it. It is the Western Bulldogs versus the Sydney Swans, Sunday afternoon at Marvel Stadium. And these boys will be playing for the Barry Hall Arancini ball.
Really?
Tasting.
I thought they might be playing for the 2016 Premiership Cup again. Tom Boyd out of retirement.
2016. This is early 2000s. Our theme is early 2000s.
Of course.
Tommy Boyd, he wasn't shaving in the early 2000s.
He wasn't.
He was not, no. But Barry Hall, though.
He might have been slaying, though.
Hall was eating balls of the Arancini variety.
I was going to say. He would not be an Arancini operator. But anyway, Dogs just did what they needed to do, really. Never got out of first gear. Just looked pretty lackadaisical, to be honest with you. They just went about their business, got the win. So, yeah, McRae.
Oh, my God.
Another 30 touches.
And the laziest 31 touches you've ever seen.
I was going to say, in the most limp-dicked performance you've ever seen at AFL level.
It was.
It was terrible. It was terrible. He just looks sad all day, sulking, didn't want to be out there, but had to get his 30 touches and managed to get there.
And did an amazing job.
Swans, on the other hand, oh my days, they absolutely obliterated.
Does that say more about Sydney than it does Eagles, or Eagles than it does Sydney?
The Swans will take confidence from that. You absolutely would take confidence from a belting, no matter what
I agree.
the opposition does.
No, I agree. I think it's column A, column B, isn't it? They were as good as Eagles were shit.
Absolutely. I mean, the Swans, that we've been a bit critical of them at times throughout the year because they don't put teams to the sword and they just sort of, they don't need to keep the games tight, but they do. Mm-hmm. This was a completely different Swans outfit. They absolutely pulverised the Eagles. And I don't believe that they're premiership contenders unless they beat the Dogs this weekend. Then I would start to buy into the credentials a little bit because all it really takes is for you to finish inside the top 8 and get hot at the right time. As
the Bulldogs showed us.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And if you can beat the team that basically coined that style of play,
yes,
could it mean that a flag's on the horizon?
Look, anything can happen. Call me Ellie Goulding because anything can happen. Now, what makes this very interesting in the Swans' favour is that Norton's going to be out with his concussion protocol. Shaki?
No.
I don't know, but they're going to need someone.
Don't like that. Get Mitch Wallace in. Give him a proper run.
He's not a key forward.
Yeah, but he was their leading goal kicker last year. Get him in and let him do his job.
I don't know. That's an interesting one. So that's one for Bevo to ponder. It's at Marvel. The Bulldogs love Marvel. Mm-hmm. They coasted for 3 quarters last week against the Kangaroos. Mm-hmm. It was not the world's greatest performance. It was from Cody Wakeman though. Best game I've seen him play.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
He's actually a genuinely good small forward.
I'm bang on you with that one. The Roos pushed back against them in that 4th quarter, and then the Dogs counterpunched and went away with it by a good 40 points. And that tells me all I need to know about where this team is at currently in terms of their confidence and how they're playing. And
interestingly, I actually think overall they're not playing as good a footy as they were early on in the year, and they're still this powerful. Josh Dunkley, 1 to 2 weeks away by all accounts. Treloar's back running again. They're going to be getting some of these players back at the right time of the year.
At the right time of the year, correct. But having said that, look, the run and gun from Sydney that they displayed last week, that they put and that was a lovely practice game for them.
Oh, easy.
Like that's such a tune-up game for an actual competitor.
Absolutely.
That beats most teams. Does it beat the Dogs at Marvel? I don't think it does. That's why I'm tipping the Dogs 1-39.
Yep.
But this is going to be such a good shootout. I'm really looking forward to this game.
Yep. I also have the Dogs, so.
1-39. Love that. We've got some bets for you. I went a bit hog wild on this one. I'm looking Jack McRae 30 plus, and that's done. Like he hasn't gone under 30 all year, so I'm happy to back that. The Bond for 25.
That's paying $1.45, by the way.
It's stupid money.
Actual disrespectful.
Stupid money. Who's going to tag him? Errol Golden? No.
Imagine. Imagine.
Bond 25. My guys, it's the triumvirate of evil in Callum Mills, Luke Parker, Jake Lloyd for 25
I
apiece.
figured.
Thank you very much. Your man, Bailey Dale,
Yep.
world's most attractive man for 20 plus disposals. And I'm liking Papley, anytime goal. That's paying $1.25 as well, which is rude as hell.
Yep.
And the Bont, an anytime goal. All of that together is paying about $16.
The only other one I'll add to that is my actual guy, Slenderman Hayward, at the moment. Anytime goal,
Slenderman.
$1.33. He is absolutely killing it at the moment. Hasn't missed in his last 5 games, so there's no way in hell he's not kicking one here because he gets up for it.
Liking that a lot. Let's roll on to Sunday afternoon's clash at the MCG between the old rivals. It's the Richmond Tigers taking on the Collingwood Magpies. And you'll be interested to know that these boys will be playing, and the winner gets to take home the Stephen McKee reconstructed left knee.
Illustrious.
It is illustrious.
Illustrious.
Huge.
Just picture for a second, right? This is late 2018. Now, I know we're doing early 2000s here, but I'm just going to throw you back just a little way. It's late September 2018. These two teams met in a preliminary final.
That they did.
Hottest ticket in town.
Yes, it was.
Everyone was talking about it. We're not Victorian fans.
No.
We were absolutely frothing. 3 years on, oh my God. It is pitiful.
Mate, the times they are changing.
It is pitiful. If they get 20,000 to this game, I'll legitimately be...
I don't think they will. Did you hear how many turned up? So 9,000 fans turned up to see Richmond play the Suns, a game that prior to the result, everyone and their mum would have expected Richmond to blow the Suns out of the water by how much? This is a layup.
They should have had 40,000 fans there, comfortably. To see your team get what should be a guaranteed win on the board, you would have expected your fans to turn out in droves. Doesn't matter who they're playing. You turn up and support your team.
Well, the Tiger Army's got 100,000 members, supposedly.
Yeah,
But where were they?
Yeah, cool.
Where were they? 9% of your fan base rocked up.
Absolutely. Tell your story, Rawkin.
100% of the Suns fan base turned up. Where were you?
Anyway, this game is looking like an absolute Scheisenhausen shit show.
I would have thought.
You think the Tigers... I said this last week. You'd think the Tigers should get up here because they really legitimately need to get a win on the board to keep pace with the top 8. They're not going to win a premiership this year. No. Last week absolutely cemented that. We thought that the week before anyway. They're done. Bob Harvey needs to get a win on the board as well.
Yep.
Not because Collingwood needs a win. If he has actual aspirations of leading a team at any level next year, you can't go in with a record of 0-7 or 0-8, it's not going to work. You have to get wins on the board. So there is a little bit riding on this. I'm still going to take the Tigers 1-39, but it is real painful.
It's dire straits here. Look, I think the Pies just don't know who they are under Harvey. And I mean under Harvey as a head coach. Like they were playing nervous, reactionary footy on the weekend. They weren't being direct, and then they started being direct randomly, and then they started like playing some great footy, taking it up to the Saints. I don't know which Collingwood is the Collingwood that Harvey wants them to play as. Has he given them a new game plan, or is it just business as usual, but without the main bloke in the main chair?
Who knows?
I don't get it. Ninthmond is back. Ninthmond is back though. The Tigers, as insipid as they were, they cannot go 0-3 in 3 weeks. They are not losing 3.
Well, they have. They've lost their last 3.
Has it been 3 now?
They've lost their last 3.
Well, they're not losing 4 in a row. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell they can't lose 4 in a row. They can't lose 4 in a row. I'm not hearing it. Richmond 1-39 for mine. I can't hear it. I can't hear it. Desmond, how much is Collingwood going to win by?
40 points.
40 points.
40 points for the Pies. Good grief.
He's off on one. I love it. Let's talk bets. Do you have anything for me?
Yeah, I do actually. Jordan De Goey. He's probably been the one man that has taken Bob Harvey's advice and gone to other levels.
De Goat.
The GOAT, yeah, exactly right. So 25 plus, $1.40, because he's been racking them up. I'm throwing it back just to pre-season. Jaden Shaw absolutely destroyed the Pies in the pre-season.
Yes, he did.
25 plus is paying $1.72 at the moment.
Interesting.
Pies give up a hell of a lot of disposals to defenders, so I don't mind that. And Josh Thomas for an anytime goal. That's currently paying $2.50. All right?
That's not bad.
He's kicked 3 in his last 2 games. Mm-hmm. And the Richmond Tigers defence is looking a little shaky. So I don't mind. $2.50 is good value for mine.
I like that a lot. Let's have a look. So Dusty, anytime goal.
Yep.
He'll go forward. Shy Bolton, anytime goal. He's had one last week and he might have had one the week before, or it bounced off of a point post, I think. So he'll get shots on goal. Jordan DeGote, anytime goal, and that's paying like $1.20 at the minute, so that's just money for jam in mine. Pendles, Taylor Adams for 25 disposals each. Pendle seems to have got over those broken ribs all of a sudden, playing real nice football. Chris Main, 20 plus, hasn't gone under that all year, averages 23.5. And Johnny Noble, the boy from the Golden Grove IGA in South Australia, 15 disposals for him. He hasn't gone under that this year either, I don't believe.
Happy.
About $7 on that. Last game of the round is the Monday night clash between the West Coast Eagles and the North Melbourne Kangaroos. Unsure where this one is being played as of yet, but I can tell you that it is being played, and the winner will receive the Drew Petrie dish filled with the Ebola virus.
Sounds hot.
Do what you want with that one.
I thought this was being played at Optus, to be honest with you. I thought they'd sort of locked that in.
They locked it in?
I thought they had done. But either way,
My mistake.
Right now, for a Monday night football spectacle, what on earth is the AFL giving us? Legitimately, the Eagles.
The Eagles. And the Kangaroos.
I just don't care. The Eagles are dead set playing some of the worst football in the AFL right now.
Yeah, over a 2-week period.
It is horrifying to watch. North obviously are North, not much better, but
at least they're trying. At least they're plucky. They're having a crack.
They give it a go. They turn up every week. Doesn't matter where they're playing. They don't sulk. They don't whine. They just go out and play footy. I would love North Melbourne to win this game. I genuinely would love it.
Be funny.
It would be hilarious.
Be funny.
But, like Adam Simpson, that would effectively sign his death warrant.
I'd have thought.
And I think he should be gone anyway. This team goes out every week, no matter the conditions, no matter what everyone's thinking or saying, and plays the same brand of footy every week.
No plan B.
There's no plan B. And famously, that is what happened to Don Pike when he was taken behind the shed like Old Yeller.
And that was the end of that chapter.
It is going to end your career, Adam Simpson. You have to do something different.
Look, if North keep playing the corridor like they did against the Dogs, and they actively tried to, and fair credit to them, they just, the second it got in their forward line, they couldn't lock it in, and it was just bumbling and bouncing about. If they keep playing that style of football, they're going to start getting goals on the board. Like, that's going to happen. I'm really interested to see what North do here. Look, the Dogs eventually swamped North, but it's quite clear where North's future is going. That game style that David Noble wants them to play, and they're clearly buying into it.
Absolutely.
They're clearly buying into it. Yep. It's going to take time. Yep. They are a younger side. They're going to gel with each other. They're going to gel with the plan, but they know what they have to do.
Yep. And no matter,
I don't know, where do West Coast go from here? What do they have to do? Do they know?
So their playing list is very, very old.
Yes, it is.
10 of their 22, I think, on the weekend were 30 or older. That is meaning the next couple of years there is going to be some serious pain.
When you like those Tim Kelly picks back now, boy.
I mean, look, we have seen some of the younger brigade who look okay. Luke Foley, Josh Rotham, Luke Edwards.
Yep.
They look okay. They look like they're going to be handy players.
One day.
The premiership window is absolutely boarded shut.
I would have thought.
Ghost town.
I would have thought.
This team is, like I said, to me, really all I've got written here, they're just embarrassing.
Well, this is such a danger game for West Coast in that North have got nothing to lose.
No.
They're finishing bottom. No. They know where they're at.
Yep.
If they lose, all the supporters are like, well, we expect them to lose. They're going into the West. They're going to play the Eagles.
The pressure's on the Eagles.
You
have to beat this team.
This is terrifying.
You have to beat this team.
This is terrifying.
I have also seen on the early weather forecast is going to be sleeting, driving rain on Monday Night Football. So we always know, it doesn't matter who you are, that kind of weather, teams that are this far apart suddenly come to about this far apart and it becomes anybody's game.
Evens out nicely. Des, are you tipping North?
Yes.
He's tipping North. I knew he would be, and I'm tipping North as well, 1-39.
You know what? Let's just make it a
We're all
consensual. Let's make it a consensual.
Yeah.
There's not a result I'd have wanted to see more this year than North Melbourne pillage the West Coast Eagles.
Boy, oh boy.
And you know what?
Can you imagine?
I'm sure if Captain Morgan was here, he'd probably say the same. He wants Simpson gone more than anyone. So please, for the love of God, North, get the job done.
This is the game to do it. So very interesting. We will see you in a week's time. Thank you for joining us on this round 17 early 2000s special. We might be seeing Desmond next week. We'll see how he goes. Please like and subscribe. We are just two little men in a room, occasionally joined by a third bloke. Just do this for the bands. Do this to entertain the cobs. Hopefully we make you some money, give you a laugh. All we ask in return is a quick like and a quick subscribe. That's it.
It's always free. It
always
always
free.
has been, and it always will be.
Until then, punters, sports fans around the world, we will see you next week. Take it easy.
All right.